few days ago, Vercel announced the new Vercel AI SDK, which allows creating chatbots with data streaming very easily. Most of you might know that Vercel is the company behind NextJS, the meta framework for React. The AI SDK allows you to directly work with the OpenAI package, but also works fine with Langchain, a new library that allows you to create powerful applications by composing different components, the so-called chains. I will show you how to build a minimal chatbot app with data streaming with and without Langchain. We will do that with Next.js, but Vercel also supports Svelte and Vue. To create a new Next.js project, we have to open a terminal and then type npx create -next -app add latest to install the latest version of Next.js. We can now choose our project name. My app is fine, that's the default. We will use TypeScript for the project, no linter. Then we will use Tailwind, we won't use a source directory, and we will use an app router. So all of the defaults are fine for this. And now the dependencies are installed and a new folder called My App, so the project name, will be created. Now we can navigate to our new folder and then run code dot to open a new project with VS Code. So now I'm here in VS Code and we will open another terminal here. And then we will install some new dependencies to our package.json file. We first will install OpenAI, OpenAI-Edge, Langchain, and also the AI package. This is the package from Vercel, so the AI SDK. Okay, after installing everything, we will just run npm run dev to see if everything works as expected. And for me, it's running on port 3001. For you, it might be on port 3000. And we'll just check out the browser, how the app looks like. So this is the way the app looks like. This is the default styling and content of the app. And to change it, we have to go to the app folder. And there is a page.txt. And everything here, which will be displayed here, is inside this folder. We can completely take it and just delete everything, so the app will now crash, but we will replace it with our own style. Now we can create our own user interface, so every message gets displayed on the screen and a user has got the option to type something and send the text to OpenAI. So we first have to make this component a client component, so we just write use client here. So now this component gets rendered on the client and not on the server side, and then we can use the normal import statements here. And we import use chat from OpenAI React. Since Next.js just uses React under the hood, we will create a functional component called chat, and we will export that component, and inside here we will create our component. So now we just call the use chat function, and this returns us a message. So this will be where all of our messages are stored, the input, which will be sent to OpenAI, and also some handlers. So if we type something, this will be registered here. And also if we press a submit button, this will be handled by this function. Since this is a function, we also have to return something. And inside the return statement, we handle everything which we want to display in the UI. So we first create a wrapper div with some Tailwind classes, just to make it a little bit nicer. And then we will create a ternary operator and check if the messages array has got a length larger than 0. So if that's the case, we want to iterate over the whole messages array and then create a new div for each message. And if the role, so we've got the role and content property in each message, then we want to display user if the role is user, and otherwise we want to display AI, so the user on the screen knows that the message here is from AI, and then we just display the content of the message. Okay, this handles all of our output, but we of course have also to handle the input. And this will be done with a form. And when we submit the form, we want to call the handle submit function. So this is already provided here by the use chat functionality from our library. And then we will create an input, and here the user can type something and the value of the input will match the input here. And if anything changes in the text field, we will just call the handle input change function, which also is provided by the AI SDK. As you can see, the UI works, but it looks a little bit stupid. We can change a little bit of our global CSS and just make this a gray background here, background color, and make this light gray. So I think this looks a little bit better now. And then we can type something. And of course, right now we don't have any functionality, but the text output will be displayed here and the input works also nice. So now we can take care of our route to actually make this functional. As I already stated before, the AI SDK expects some kind of special route, and to create an API route, we have to create a new folder here inside our app folder called API. And the AI SDK expects a new route called chat. So we have to create another folder called chat. And inside the chat folder, we have to create a new file called route.ts. So inside the routes.ts file, we will now import configuration and OpenAI from OpenAI-Edge. Then we will also import OpenAI Stream and the streaming text response from the AI SDK. And then we will create a new configuration object and set the API key to actually allow us to make a call to the OpenAI API. So as you can see, currently I don't have any .env file, so we will just create it. And here we will store our API key. And the API key has to look like this. So we just make this to our key and then we paste here the API key. So I'm just gonna paste it here. And now the config should be set up correctly. Then we create a new instance here of the OpenAI API class with the config to actually make the requests. And then we will set the runtime to Edge. This is required to make the streaming functionality work in NextJS. So in NextJS, we have to export a function and this has to be called post. So we make a post request inside this route here. Since this is an async function, we have to await the request and convert it to a JSON object. And then we extract the messages object here by destructuring. And then we create a new request to OpenAI with the create chat completion class. And we pass in the model. And we also have to pass in the stream property and set it to true. This is normally false, but otherwise we won't have the streaming functionality. And now we set the messages by iterating over each message and set the content to the message content property and the role to the role property of the message. This will create a response object and we can now take that response object and pass it to the OpenAI stream class, which was also provided by the AI SDK. So pretty easy to use. Just pass the response and convert the response to a stream object and then create a new streaming text response object with the stream. So this will be returned from our API chat endpoint. So I've spotted one mistake. This is of course not routes, but just route. And if we save this and say, hello, my helpful AI friend, then we can see our message here. And now we can see the bot answering. And this is the type of functionality, which you also know from ChatGPT. And now I can just type anything back. And as you can see, it's always returning this message here token by token. So this works pretty nice, but I will now show you how to do the same functionality with the Langchain. It's even easier. Langchain allows you to build even more powerful applications with some kind of vector database in the backend if you want to do so. Okay, now let's just delete everything here and replace this with the Langchain code. So we first have to import the streaming text response class again, the Langchain stream class, and also the message class here from the AI SDK. And then we also will import the callback manager class directly from Langchain and here from the callbacks module. And then we will also import chat OpenAI, which makes the chatting interface even more easier to work with. And this will come from the OpenAI module inside the chat model. So now we also import the AI chat message and human chat message classes here from Langchain schemas, which makes creating the correct format of the messages which we send to OpenAI even easier. So now we also set the runtime to Edge again to make the streaming functionality work. And then we will also create the post request function here. Now we will also await the request JSON and again extract the messages by destructuring. And then we will call the Langchain stream class. And here we destructure the stream object and also the handlers object. So now we can create a new instance of Chat OpenAI and also set the property here to streaming. And we have to provide a callback manager here. And the callback manager will call itself a class method here from handlers. And we pass in the handlers, which we structured before, by calling here the Langchain stream function. Now we can just call the call method here of the LLM instance, and we pass the messages array to this call method. And if the role is user of the message, we will create a new instance here of the human chat message class. And also if it's not user, we will create an AI chat message instance. And then we will just catch an error if anything goes wrong. And then at the end, we will also return a new instance of the streaming text response and pass here the stream. So this should do the exact same as before. We can just press F5 here and then just type it again. And as you can see, it works again. But the code is even easier than before and is easier to extend with custom functionality, like, for example, working with some kind of vector database in the backend. Okay, that's it. If you're interested in more advanced AI applications, please let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, subscribe to my channel and like the video, of course. Thank you very much. Bye bye.